Hi folks, welcome to Federal Premium's Vital Zone. This week we're headed back to Alberta, Canada. The bucks are definitely on the move, so let's go right to the hunt. You know, there's no better place to hunt than in the rut, no matter where you're hunting. And I was in Alberta, Canada, in one of my favorite stands called the high stand. I got a shooter buck coming, walking from right to left right here. And I'm just trying to get ready to see if I can find an opening to get a shot at him. The problem was there was a lot of bucks in the area and he kept chasing other bucks and he just never would stop. I tried to grunt at him, but he really wasn't paying attention to me. So I just do not want to take a bad shot. So he kept moving around out there and I just couldn't find an opening, to get a shot at him. He was just more interested in running these bucks off and trying to show his dominance. But at one time, he looked like he was coming back to the opening right there, and hopefully I could get him to stop. But once he got right there to the opening, he just ran across it, and I couldn't get a shot at him, couldn't get him to stop. So this keeps going on. I mean, it seems like it was taking all day, but I mean there was bucks in there. I was trying to pick out a shooter buck. It just wasn't happening, and he just kept chasing all the other bucks right there. And finally, every time I put my gun up and try to get a shot at him, he just get on the move again. And this goes on for a while. And then I got another buck kind of walking kind of straight to me. And he's coming back up the chute right there. And I'm just hoping that he'll turn. And he kind of veered off to the right there. And couldn't get a shot at him. And there was like 3 shooter bucks in here, and I hadn't pulled the trigger yet. So, and this is, if I remember right, this is the last afternoon of my hunt, so I'm getting really frustrated now. So, but that's part of hunting the rut in Alberta. But I had a buck right there from the left come in. I noticed he was limping on his front right leg. I looked up, I knew he was a shooter buck. I bring the crosshairs up to the middle of his body, but I bring the crosshairs a little bit further back to the left of his shoulder with the angle that I'm looking at. But having the angle that I'm looking at and putting those crosshairs right there, it should be a good shot, so let's go right to it. You can tell the shot was right on the money. The buck, kind of bucks up pretty hard right there, runs off kind of low. Let's do this. Let's put it in slow motion and see exactly where the bullet hits. As you can see the red dot right there, it hit the deer just a little bit lower and to the right of where I was aiming, but I know it was still a good shot. But let's do this. Let's go to the Federal Premium Vital Zone and see exactly where that bullet goes through the vitals. So you'll notice right here the bullet coming in, this buck's quartering away from me. It penetrates the kind of the back part of the right lung a little bit lower, goes through the heart, and probably clips the front part of the left lung. But folks, this was definitely a fatal shot. Well, this particular buck right here, he didn't go more than 60 yards. We got out of the tree, and boy, what a heck of an Alberta buck. But here's a few tips for you right here if you're hunting in the rut. You got a lot of bucks out in front of you. When they're chasing each other, it's hard to get them to stop. You might have to grunt a little bit louder than you would if they're in a feeding position and kind of walking. But, my problem is right there, I had 3 shooter bucks. I just couldn't get them to stop, and I just didn't want to risk that shot and hurting the deer. But I was fortunate to find a shooter buck that was coming up to work his scrape. He was quartering away from me, and you got to know the angles. That's the key of knowing where the vitals are and the angle that you're shooting. And me being left-handed right there coming into that deer, I put the crosshairs up in the middle part of his body. I brought it a little bit further left, but I also have a few inches either high or low if I don't hit exactly where I was aiming. And this particular buck, I hit basically a little bit lower to the right, but it still went through the vitals right there. All right, folks, that's another buck, part of the Federal Premium's Vital Zone.